Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tardis Zone Talks. I hope you're very well and you've had a good weekend. The weather is slowly changing here, a little bit cooler today, but it's still warm though, if you know what I mean. So it's not completely cooled, but it's better temperature wise than it was for the last couple of days. And I'm not complaining because we all do like a little bit of sunshine, don't we? But let's get into it. So obviously, I was supposed to cover this yesterday, but it was too warm, and I just one of those days where I just wanted to chill. And then I watched my football team play, and that didn't go well. So if I had to come on last night, I wouldn't have been in the best form. So I'm in better form today. So I decided we would go live a little bit later than we have been going lately, but I said, feck it, you know what, why not? But anyway, we got some Doctor Who news in relation to the Ncuti Gatwa era. So he will begin filming in November, according to the media. So you guys, we're not going to read the article because obviously, we don't need to. It's being confirmed. He will shoot in November. So the question I have for you guys is what do you think of that news? Apparently, some people were hoping that he was going to be in this 60th anniversary. And also, very interestingly, David Tennant made some interesting comments. I think he's at a Comic-Con right now. Just to confirm, I got sent a message. So at the I think it's the Fan Expo in Boston, in 2022. David teases that the public set photos of his Doctor Who return aren't even close to the whole story. He and Catherine Tate filmed with many other people on a closed set, so stay tuned. And that was from the Fan Expo. Now listen, obviously if you've been following this channel for a long, long time, we've been talking about other people turning up for this. This is nothing new to us, but to have David Tennant literally confirm it is absolutely fantastic news. And it's interesting, isn't it though? It seems like RTD now has kind of taken a little bit of a step back, which is the right thing to do. I think things are starting to settle down again, and now we're getting little snippets of information. But let's, before we go any further, obviously, let me see who's in the chat. So, who have we got? We have the Scottish Davros wrestles with pop culture. Oh, sorry. Scottish Davros and Friends wrestle with pop culture. Is in the chat. We got one of our members, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, in the chat as well. We've also got the Queen in the chat. That is Queen Charlotte. Nice to see it. We got 22 people watching already. Do us a favor, like, share, and subscribe. We've got Holden in the chat who made a comment, and I'll get to that now in just a second. Your Muslim uncle is in the chat as well. Raymond Williams is in the chat. We got JFO in the chat as well. So Ncuti obviously is going to start filming in November, and Holton says don't don't mention. Yeah, well, you've mentioned it in the chat now, mate. Mate, I'm going to tell you something, right? Cheryl can back me up on this. Not that I'd want her to, but after the second goal went in, no, it was after the third goal went in, I actually broke down in tears. I'm not telling you a word of a lie. The situation at our football club is not going to be resolved until those owners are gone. You can blame players all you want. You can blame managers' tactics and all of that. At the end of the day, they're the ones that bring in the players. They don't get the managers' first choices. And because of that, we've got 5 different managers, players in Ten Hag's team. Of course, he's going to fail. And now they're trying to blame Ronaldo because he wants to leave. Okay, he should have told us he wanted to leave a lot sooner than he did. Maybe he was waiting to see what United would do in the transfer market, which is logical. Seeing that they're doing actually nothing and has decided he's had enough. I don't blame him, but they're going to use him as a scapegoat. They're going to say that he's the one that's disturbing the dressing room. I can see it all coming. I can see it all playing out. And the Glazers will sit back in Tampa Bay, as Gary Neville said yesterday, and they won't take responsibility for it. But that's the end of football. That's all I'm going to say in it. But I've been following this club since Ron Atkinson was manager, right? I've seen United when they haven't been at their best. But this is the worst I've ever seen it, and it's gutting to see. 2 of the passions that I have, Doctor Who and my football team, are down the tubes right now. And it's gutting, man. I actually cried yesterday. I cried, man. And people will laugh and say, oh, it's only a football team and all that. Again, you don't get the personal attachment, the emotional attachment you have to certain things. Anyway, we'll leave it there before I get emotional again because I can feel it coming on. I just can't talk about them right now. The club literally nearly went out of existence because of a plane crash. That club rose from the ashes and we went on to win the European Cup a few years later after that. Not many clubs would do that. And to see it in the state that it's in because we got owners who don't give a shit is heartbreaking. But enough of that. Anyway, also you said, well, you hope he plays a straight or I'm out. In fairness, Holden, I've heard this comment quite a lot, and I'm not picking on anybody or you in particular. Nobody. I'm not picking on anybody here, but I just want to make something clear. Does it really matter what what sexuality the doctor is if RTD writes him brilliantly and Ncuti actually plays the doctor the way the doctor should be played? I'm just playing devil's advocate here. That's all I'm just trying to say to people that do make that comment. It's just me playing devil's advocate, but let me know what you think anyway. Let's see. Anyway, find it odd it came out of the blue, says Queen Charlotte. Well, look, what I'll do is, because it is the Tardis Zone Talks, so you know how this works, right? So obviously we won't go on for 3 hours or 2 hours or anything like that, right? We don't really need to go for that long. I can see we got another member in the chat, Lee. He doesn't like football talk, but we've moved off from football now anyway. Have you ever done a football watch along? No, but I am in the process. I have set up a Manchester United channel. I'm just thinking if this is the right time to actually do it because of everything that's going on, but I'm not really sure I should, because then people will always associate it with that. You get grief then. But we got Robert in the chat as well. We just do a few shout outs here before we continue with our chat. And yeah, I think I've called everybody. If I missed anybody, just let me know and I'll give you a quick shout out there. We got James Dawson, another member in the chat. Knowles David's comments playing into my theory I said to you after the member stream, don't you think? Yeah. Look, I'll bring you on if you want to actually talk about that. So, as you know, anyway, it is the Tardis Zone talk. So, I'll bring a couple of yous on, right? But I'm not, as I said, we don't need to go on 2 or 3 hours. So, just come on, give us a quick point, and we don't have to go into a big long thing. Just come on and tell me how you are feeling about November. And Charlie, you could talk about your little theory as well if you want to, because obviously that was a member stream. The members will know what you're talking about, but everybody else on the channel won't. So yeah, if you want to come on, let me know in the chat, and I'll send you an email. So you know what to do. If anybody wants to come on, and if I already have user email, that is fine. Remember, when we do these kind of things, for right now, channel subscribers and members only, because starting to start up again in the fandom. And as I said, I'm not getting into it again. Give me a few minutes to get ready. Yeah, no problem. Just let me know if you still want to come in. So David Tennant has said basically that they have filmed scenes that none of the public have seen. And that's very interesting, because there's one name that's constantly being mentioned and isn't going away. And that is, of course, Matt Smith. And of course, people have their own names of people that they would like to see come back. So they've obviously speculated those people. But who do you think he's filmed with? Do you think he's filmed with past characters, or do you think these are new high-profile actors and actresses that they brought in that are playing new characters, like Neil Patrick Harris? What do you think? Let me know in the chat. And for any of you guys that are coming on, that's the question I will ask, is what do you think? Who do you think it is? Who do you think they are? Who would you like to see? Right, so the first email has gone out. So as I said, if you want to come on, you know what to do. Let me know in the chat. I've sent the email. Cinnamon Toast Crunch would like to come on. That's fantastic. That's brilliant. Brilliant. And there we go. The second email has been sent. There you go. That's quite easy. I'm not bringing you on, Lee. You'll overtake the whole stream and nobody will get a word in edgeways. So you're taking a break for today. Sorry, can't allow you to come on. Sorry, mate. Sorry. There's been protests against you, mate, outside my apartment. People are protesting. They say that you don't let anybody talk. Yeah, I get what you're saying if it's blatant, right, Holden? If it's blatant, yeah, I agree with you. But if it's not the focus of the writing, and he just plays the doctor, but he just happens to be attracted to men, but they don't make a big deal out of it. There's a bit of flirting like he did with Barrowman. I don't think anybody is gonna actually have a problem with that, to be quite honest, because the writing will be the focus, But look, as I said, we'll all have to wait and see. We don't know what's going to happen. Just because, Ncuti happens to be a gay man, and RTD has made comments that gay characters should be played by gay men, which is a fair reason why everybody, valid reason given why everybody might think that that's what's going to happen. But until we actually see it, we don't know. So, and we got Laura Thought in the chat, aka Tim. How are you? I hope you're doing well. Lee, of course, I've sent you an email. Why wouldn't I send you an email? You know, you don't even Lee shouldn't even have to ask. If Lee's in the chat, I just note send Lee an email. It doesn't matter what the topic is. Lee is like me, has an opinion, and there's nothing wrong with that. We'll see what happens. Look, there's a lot of things to be discussed from here till Series 14 premieres, right? Right now, we've got a centenary that nobody gives a shit about, but most of the focus is on the 60th, right? So now we've got the 60th. Now, David Tennant is obviously doing Comic Cons and fan expos, right? So he's going to be opening his mouth, but he will be very careful because he knows how to play the game because he was there with RTD. So he knows what he can get away with and what he can't get away with. So it's very clever. What's going on here? It keeps people interested. Like we're talking about on other channels, we're talking about yesterday, and I think that when the news broke, so. It's very clever by RTD because all the focus is on what is all the focus on? It's on RTD too. It's not on the centenary. Nobody is talking about that right now. Like I saw Jodie trending, right? And I went in on Twitter and I went in to have a look to see if it was Jodie Whittaker. Now Jodie Comer is trending. Like nobody is talking about the centenary, bar a few accounts, the usual accounts on Twitter. But nobody else is talking about it. It's all about the 60th, what RTD is doing. And this Cybus Industries thing that's going on, people are speculating whether it is a fan thing or whether it's a fan doing it on behalf of RTD's Bad Wolf Productions. And this is one of these kind of red herrings as RTD likes to say. Because remember, it's very interesting enough that he said in that interview that he likes to throw out red herrings. He literally told us that. But why would he need to tell us that? He wouldn't need to tell us that. But there's always a reason when RTD opens his mouth and he says something, there's always a reason behind it. As I said anyway, Lee, I have sent you the email. I hope you don't feel like I was literally taking the piss out of you. But you do talk too much. I mean, you're like me. It's just, we can't help it. But I did send you the email. So get your ass on. Oh, there he is. Right on cue. See that? Right, well, we've got 3 guests on. It looks like nobody else wants to come on. So this is perfect. We'll see how this goes. So we'll introduce our guests in order that they showed up. I'm only messing. It's always ladies first. Anyway, she's a ledge. Oh, we lost Lee. Lee just couldn't take the magnetism of our first guest. It's the one and only Queen Charlotte.
Hello, everybody. And looks like I've got my theory cap on, which is going to be fun.
Brilliant. And might I add, it sounds like your earphones are actually working now and not crackling. They were crackling.
Oh, don't jinx it.
So far, so good, I'll just say. Our guest, you probably won't notice him because as soon as Lee comes on, it's game over. I'm only messing. Our next guest is the one and only Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and I still love that name. But Cinnamon Toast Crunch is on mute right now. But we'll just move swiftly on and bring on our next drama queen. Yes, it's the one and only. Nah, seriously. Did you all see those emojis and those loyalty badges? Were they very good? Thank you, everybody. By the way, that video's probably got the most views of any music video that I've done in about a year. So thank you very much to Lee. Because I think the pictures are that funny that everybody is just watching and is drawn to it now. So thank you to Lee, but thank you everybody that has actually watched.
Hello.
Can you hear me? Oh, there he is. He's here. So we got Cinnamon here. So hopefully he gets his audio sorted because I still think you're crackling a little bit there. But let's bring on the one and only Mr. Problem Bean.
Oi, oi.
Oi, oi. Oh, he's very sheepishly saying oi, oi. But give it 5 minutes, folks. Give it 5 fucking minutes. Right. Set your watches. Set our stopwatches. I'm only messing. Anyway, guys, obviously we've gotten the news. Ncuti is going to be filming in November. Now, can I just point out? I just want to say something. This is not until obviously 2023 when supposedly Series 14 is gonna drop. Is it just me? Maybe it is just me. But is it just me, or is filming for this happening a little bit early? Like November seems like, why wouldn't they? If it's for say when is it coming out next year? Is the thing. This might be coming out sooner than we thought.
Well, from my understanding, Ncuti's stuff was going to be, if anything, late 2023 or even 2024 for Series 14 is what I thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't quite know what Series 14 is going to look like. It could be 13 episodes again. It could be less, but longer. I think that's the problem. We don't know what format it's going to look like. But
still, the time for it, but it's so far away, apparently, supposedly, is what the media have been saying quite a lot. It just seems a little bit early to me to be filming right now if it's not going to be supposed to be airing until late 2023, 2024, whenever. It just seems a little bit. I don't know, maybe it is. I always thought that the 60th, this so-called 60th, was filmed a bit early as well. Something's not adding up here, I'm telling you. But go
maybe
on,
the
anyway,
production values are going to be so high that they have to spend more time on the CGI aspect.
Well, you think they need to come in, do the extra work because it's going to acquire, because obviously it's going to be ramped up.
Maybe.
Well, that's a fair point. But Charlotte, go on. I'll get to you now in a minute, Lee. But thanks for that, because I did cut her across the first time, so it's all right.
It's because you talk too much.
I'll let you. So do you.
Mansplaining.
Yeah, doesn't matter. Go on, Charlotte. Anyway, don't mind him. Just ignore him.
Like I said, I think I just find it a bit weird that it's sort of come out and almost been announced. Like the BBC haven't done it, Russell hasn't done it. It's been like Hollywood Reporter, whatever it was, who's just come out and told us that it's going to be filming in November. It's more the method it was done that made me go, okay, this is a bit odd. Like, why are we being told when the filming is starting off like such a? It seems to me like an outside source is telling us this.
And at the same time, right? Aren't they still? I'm not sure they finished up with filming for this 60th. This could be a distraction. This is a distraction from something else, man. It has to be, because I don't know. The timing of this is just a bit like everything I've said, all the announcements, and you are right. Like, why would the Hollywood Reporter be the ones that be getting the scoop? It's normally, well, it used to be Radio Times under RTD, if I'm pretty correct in saying, or Doctor Who magazine. At least when is Doctor Who magazine next out? That maybe that's. I don't know.
Well, maybe he's filming. Maybe he comes out filming.
On the 21st, I think.
What?
Maybe he's filming his scenes on in November for the special, and maybe they think it's for the season. In fact, it might not be. It might be for a scene from the specials, perhaps.
Well, because the rumor is he's supposed to appear at the end of the 60th. So what you're saying is maybe it is being disguised as Series 14 filming, but in reality, it could be the 60th.
Awesome.
Interesting one. I know it's mind-boggling to me, man. But the Hollywood Reporter part is the interesting one about it, though. It's like American media got a hold of this before. Because even Radio Times, when they report they quote the Hollywood Reporter. Like, they don't say that this is coming from them. They say
to be filming this early. I mean, it's very similar, but even probably more exaggerated than if it was a major film. Because you film a major Hollywood film about a year in advance, but this is about a year and a bit in advance, isn't it? It's quite unusual, but yeah. So, I mean, it could be
Raymond
what
has
Ben
a
said.
good point there.
Yeah, it could be. It could be a special. It could be his commitment to sex education. So.
Yeah, could be a bit of. There could be a bit of conflict there. Maybe that's the agreement when he took the role, that he'd be able to shift between the two and basically have a break between the two before he'd have to go back to, say, sex education. That would actually make sense as well. But Cinnamon, what do you think?
Well, I was a bit like you, to be honest. I was a bit perplexed by the timing of it, because yesterday I was just sat there thinking about it, because I saw it in the Radio Times, and I thought that's a bit odd, because it's like 15 months to the anniversary, and I'm going to assume that Series 14 is obviously going to air after that. So that's quite a long time ago. It's like they said, it's like a year and a bit. So it's a strange one. But then I got thinking about how it was done before. So yeah, usually I think what they filmed Series 1 was it in 2004, and then it aired in 2005, early 2005. But it takes, I remember, roughly about a year to get a full season, and the
No, I think it's shorter than that. I think they got all the filming done within 6 months. I think there was a tight filming schedule. That was the one thing that's the narrative they tried to throw out for Peter Capaldi when he left, was the fact that apparently it was very demanding. Even Matt Smith himself said it was very demanding because there was a tight filming schedule. Maybe it's different now because it is under Bad Wolf and Sony. Maybe there isn't that tight filming schedule anymore, and there is a bit of breathing room.
They say 9 months, don't they? I'm sure I've heard interviews where they say, "Oh, it's a grovelling 9 months to film." But
hold on, we'll Google that.
I could be wrong, but
go on.
It is quite a short. That's because I was just thinking about the anniversary, and I think they've obviously been filming some scenes on location in Bristol and elsewhere, and it's 15 months to go yet. So I'm assuming. I mean, there's so many things it could be. I know you suggested that it could be multiple things. It's not just one episode. It could be 3, or it could be something like a feature-length film. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say it's going to be a movie, but it could be something, or maybe it could be something along those lines. This could be massive. It's got to be if they're taking this much preparation and getting it done this early. Like Lee said there, something about the effects. They must be working on something pretty big, and that was kind of what Russell was saying, wasn't it, when he said, "Oh, this is new territory."
No, you're actually right. You're actually right about the current era. It took 9 or 10 months to film the current era. So you are right there. So credit where credit is due. So well done on that one. Go ahead,
and you've got to remember the current era has been taking longer to film with less episodes. So
2 years
you
off
really can't use the current era as any gauge. You have to try and think back to Moffat and Russell's original runs. But also, just to add to what Cinnamon was saying, what Tennant has said, we've only seen a tiny bit of it, the outdoor filming. So to me, that says they've done a lot of indoor, under closed set filming, because it sounds like, and it makes sense. It makes sense to do that because your big story beats you don't want to have out in the open for people to film, or to get. So it feels like they've done a lot. So I think that's a hint of a couple of things which we'll get to about other people possibly.
Yeah, which actually is a nice little segue into. But go on, finish your point there, and then we'll go into that because that's a nice little segue.
I'm just saying to me, Cinnamon, that means it has to be at least 3 episodes, at least, with the amount of filming Tennant is implying has happened. If you combine,
I mean, I'm glad that they have got the time. I do appreciate that. I think that's good that they're actually giving themselves time, because I think the more time you have, the better the product will be. It's the same with video games when they have crunch time and they try and rush everything down to the last minute. we all know
What's
how
probably going to
things
happen
turn
is
out.
they'll probably wrap up the 60th filming around September, right? Then they'll have a 2-month break. Well, not RTD, but the rest of the team will have a 2-month break, or they'll be geared up to get ready to start filming then in November.
Yeah, that could make sense. Yeah.
Look, I still think it's a bit weird that they're filming this side of this year so close to both being filmed. You know what I mean? That's just, but there could be nothing in it, but it's nice to speculate. But David Tennant's comments have really got the fandom talking. He's at the Fan Expo in Boston, and he actually made the comments that, well, you know, you have seen what you have seen, but basically you haven't seen all of it, and we filmed scenes with people that you basically haven't seen. So with that said, you know, there is a name that keeps popping up all the time. It's Charlotte's favorite doctor. His name hasn't gone away. And I have to say, as the weeks and the days go by, it seems to be intensifying every day. But this has now really made it like fans are out there now thinking it is possibly Matt Smith, or another name that's popped up is Martha Jones. So who would you like? Who do you think it is? First of all, yeah, I know we're only guessing here, but who do you think it is, and or who do you? What's the better way of put? Who do you think RTD would bring back if it's an old character? If this is not a new character, a well-known actor or actress, and this is an old character, which old characters do you think RTD would look to? You can go first, Queen Charlotte.
Well, I think if he has brought any doctors back, I think Matt is a good bet. But just to quickly address that one, it would definitely be in a close set. He would definitely want that secret. He would not want that getting out at all. So that makes sense if he has hidden more doctors and he purposely announced Tennant to basically distract people and think he's the only doctor we're getting. It would make sense.
Here's one for you. This is to add on to what you're saying, and then I'll get the two lads in. But we've also heard Alex Kingston come out recently and say that she'd love to come back. And another thing that I want to actually bring up as well that happened on Instagram. So some fan tagged RTD in some fan art that they created of David Tennant's doctor and John Barrowman's head in the jar that, you know, in the container that will eventually become the face of Bo. And RTD liked it, and people, well, some fans are speculating that this is RTD now kind of letting the fandom know that he's forgiven John Barrowman. Not that there's anything to forgive, but basically that he's willing to forgive John Barrowman, and there's a possibility that he could be back. What do you reckon? John Barrowman, Alex Kingston, obviously Rose Tyler is going to be thrown in there, and a few people have. I mean, there's so many to pick from, Charlotte. Who?
There is so many, I think. I want to just throw something else out there because I do think possible other doctors. I would maybe Martha, because she's always got an easy way to come back because she didn't die. She didn't sort of have a tragic ending, so you can just bring her back. Here's what also I think, though, and this is what the theory I said to you when we were off stream with the members, is I think he's going to have some very well-known British actors in this. I think because Neil Patrick Harris is more of an international name. He's more of an American known name.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have some really high-tier British talent. And I think maybe that's what Tennant is talking about. Some really well-known actors or actresses who weren't previously in Doctor Who, but they're sort of marquee people. And I think Russell, and this is what I said to you, and I'm going to explain why I think this could work. I think he's hiding the Master. Because we're all meant to just be treating right now that Neo is the villain. We're all guessing Celestial Toymaker. And that is a really big, sort of powerful entity, and it's a really clever one to bring back. But I think with it being the 60th, he's going to want some more known villains. And my theory is we could get a different actor, because I do think it'd be a male if he did the Master, who's also been on a close set. And the Master could basically be sort of not working with the Doctor, but being an uneasy ally, sort of being that force that basically says to the Doctor, I don't like you, but this guy is actually quite of a force I don't want to completely deal with by myself. So I'll basically use you to help me. And I think that's a very Master thing to do. And also, the Master would do things that the Doctor never could do. So I think that could also be why the Doctor wouldn't be happy, but he'd go, as long as you don't do anything which I utterly can't.
Yeah, it's basically exploring the dynamic. They're two moral. That's what we were talking about. The Doctor's moral beliefs and the Master's moral beliefs, and actually having a story where the two of them have to come together for an uneasy alliance to go against the Celestial Toymaker or whoever else is out there.
And I think that, because I also think Russell, obviously, he's done the Master before, but he just did the sort of crazy, sort of completely opposing force of a Master to a Doctor. And I think if he were to do a Master again, he'd want to do a very different type of Master. So I think having that sort of this chaotic force who the Doctor you wouldn't see all the time, he wouldn't be in every episode, he would just pop up and do certain things and then disappear again. Because then he's not sort of, because people know I've said before, the Master's been overdone. He has, but that's because New Who has done one type of Master, basically, which is the crazy Master. And I think Russell could write a very sort of something more in the classic vein of a Master. Because if you think about Roger Delgado's Master, he worked with Pertwee sometimes. And I think maybe Russell could be trying to do that, but in the modern run. And I think Tennant's comments are making me really think that maybe this is what could have been filmed when he's saying you've not seen it, basically.
Yeah, actually, it was very interesting when we spoke about that off stream. Yeah, we had a nice little chat off stream as well. Went on for a good while, didn't it? Actually, because we had a good stream and a good chat. It was nice, and it was nice to actually talk to someone about Doctor Who in a positive positive light for a change, and speculating. That's the thing that's exciting about this at the moment. But Lee, obviously, David Tennant's comments, as I said, have kind of stirred the fandom. Fandom are speculating all over the shop.
What is it he actually said, like quote for quote?
Right, he said, hold on, I'll get it up now on my phone, because I can't be bothered to fucking pull it up on screen, because then I have to put up the link to the screen and I can't be arsed. Not today. Just, yeah, I got the quote, so yeah. Here we go.
So, how are you all?
Yeah, so sorry, just getting this quote. Yeah, so Arden even close to the whole. Arden even he said David Tennant that the public set photos of his Doctor Who return. Arden even close to the whole story. He and Catherine Tate filmed with many other people on a close set, so stay tuned, is what he said.
Well, it sounds like multiple doctors.
So you think it's multiple doctors?
Yeah. It sounds like it to me. I mean, I don't know. obviously we don't know how many doctors are going to return for the so-called centenary special, and if that's going to affect what happens in the 60th special.
Well, I'm told that mostly classic doctors are going to show up in the centenary special, and apparently RTD had plans to do something kind of similar and was pissed that Chibnall had decided to do this because it wasn't even a plan, like, apparently. You know, so whether that's true or not, obviously we will have to wait and see. But it is, I mean, the other Dr. Theory, as I said, Lee, you probably are onto something because, as I have mentioned to Charlotte, you know, there's one name that has consistently been mentioned and hasn't gone away, and it seems to get stronger with each passing day and week is Matt Smith.
Yeah, undoubtedly he's going to be in it. I wouldn't be surprised at all. We know he misses the role. We know he regrets leaving the role. And you know, he's obviously finished with his Game of Thrones thing. So, you know, and his hair looks quite similar to how it used to be from what I've seen. So, yeah, I think that's a possibility. It'd be nice. Be wonderful to have Capaldi back. Whether or not he's kind of in the mindset to return, that'd be a totally other thing. Same with Eccleston, I guess.
If there was nice little cameos from them too, if they didn't want to come on board fully because of obvious reasons, right? Peter can understand. And look, Christopher Eccleston I can understand, but I think it's been so long now that, you know, people are kind of finding it hard to swallow that he's still that bitter. You know what I mean? Whereas Peter will move on eventually. He will, you know what I mean? But even if there was a nice little couple of minute cameo for the two of them, if they didn't want to be in it fully, I tell you, I'd lock that up myself personally, because, you know, I think Peter deserves it anyway. And you are right, Matt Smith, the way he's been talking lately, he regrets walking away from Doctor Who. Look, you know, people can either criticize him or they can praise him for trying to go out and make a name for himself in Hollywood. But that's the gamble that you take, you know, Karen.
Yeah, he's plucked some right turkeys, hasn't he?
Yeah, but it's not his fault. He's done a lot. See, even in the movies that he has been in that have been bad, he's had a lot of scenes on the cutting room floor. Like, they've actually, like, brought him in to use him, and then they'll cut his scenes. Like, it's so unfair the way it has gone for him. I have to say, he deserves better because he is a wonderful actor, and I think he's good enough to make it in Hollywood. But unfortunately, it hasn't quite worked out. House of Dragon now might actually, I know that's getting a bit of stick, but if it's well acted and Matt Smith acts well in the role, you know, I think Matt Smith fans and people that like Matt Smith will back him, even if the show ends up being shit. He's the, you know, a lot of people will watch it because of him. And that's,
well, maybe if he reprises his role as the Doctor in this, you know, it might remind people how good he is, you know, remind people how great a Doctor he was, and maybe, you know, people go, oh, yeah.
If it wasn't on your damn lead, though, here's the thing, right? If it's not Matt Smith, Eccleston, or Peter Capaldi, right? Do you agree with Charlotte's assessment that it could be some big name British actor and actresses coming in on board, and that's what Tennant means? Or do you think it could be other old characters returning from the RTD era? And if so, who would you like to see return personally? I know you've mentioned doctors, but is there anybody from RTD's era that you're saying that you would love to see back on Doctor Who?
John Barrowman.
Well,
Mickey.
I think that's
you know, and you know, but he won't. I don't think he will, because he's so enamored.
John Barrowman, I'd say, has more of a chance right now than poor Noel Clarke. Obviously, Noel Clarke, when he said the time is right to make his statement or to tell the world his side of it, he will, and we'll wait until then. But as we do know right now, is that the police have decided that no charges were going to be brought against him. So the law of the land has done its job and he's entitled to move on. But unfortunately, you know, you look at his case, and then he wrote up about Ezra Miller actually on The Flash. And, you know, he makes a point. You know, there's Ezra. He's actually being charged with something now. You know, we've heard about all the other incidents.
And he's still not cancelled.
And he's still in some mad cult or something. And he hasn't been cancelled. But yeah, a police investigation was done on Noel. He was cleared. And he can't get his career back. And the poor guy, you could tell by his tweets, he's broken-hearted, man. He just wants to get out there and work. You could tell. But it's hard when nobody will work with you. That's the problem. Look, at RTD maybe in the future, you know, if whenever Noel has planned, because he says he has something planned to tell his story. So we just have to wait and see what happens. But I would love to see. I think it is. Listen, Chris Chibnall, I just want to mention this on the John Barrowman stuff, and then I'll get Cinnamon Toast in. But I just want to say something, right? Chris Chibnall used John Barrowman to boost the ratings, right? So when it was convenient for everybody at the BBC, right, to use John Barrowman, right, to boost the failing show, right? They brought him in for that cameo. It was shoehorned in. He was never supposed to be in it. He was brought in the last minute to do it. And because of the love of the show, he came in and he did it. And that cameo did boost the ratings because next week they flatlined, right? But he did. But you used them when it was convenient, and all you fans that are calling him out now and having a go at him for something that he did 17, 18 fucking years ago, wherever how long it is now, who gives a crap? He apologised, bleeding the den. He's apologised 5 or 6 times since, right? He's had no problem cheering him on, welcoming him back. But as soon as something else happened or someone else got accused of something, right? And then a video was thrown up. You's all turned on John Barrowman. You's ought to be ashamed of yourselves, but you's had no problem with him beforehand. But all of a sudden, because, you know, you's have to...
Well, they've got to find something to be out.
Well, it's got to be, yeah, you's have to find something to make yourselves feel like you's a part of society. You's are knobheads. The bottom line is this, right? This generation, right? This generation, there are some that are going to be okay. But the majority is are fucked. And when you get to adulthood, you're going to realise that all these are complaining, bitching and moaning was actually nothing, because life is hard. And the things that you are bitching and moaning about are not even worth bitching and moaning about. You even create things just to be offended. If you are offended, this is what I suggest you all do. You stay away from social media, stay away from the stuff that offends you, and let the rest of us enjoy it. And if you have a problem with us enjoying it, then I suggest you go fuck yourselves, because I'm sick and tired of you all now trying to dictate what we do with our lives and what opinions we have. Because at the end of the day, I mightn't agree with your opinion, but you're entitled to it. Okay, and it should be the same way when I have my opinion. I should be entitled to it, and I should be allowed to go on social media, come on YouTube without being harassed, bullied, abused, doxed, and all of this other shit that goes on in society. Right? I'm telling you now, you are screwed when you reach adulthood, because you think life is hard right now. Wait till you see when you got bills to pay, when you have a family, when you have the pressures of having to go out there, get a job, to make sure that there's food on the fucking table for your kids, clothes on their back, right? That's without even thinking of yourself. To pay bills, to make sure that your kids are comfortable in a nice warm home, right? They're the things that are worth fucking complaining about and moaning about. But instead, you are worried about people misgendering you and all this other rubbish. You need to fucking cop on to yourselves, because this ain't going to end pretty for any of you, because the stark reality is going to hit you. And before long, a lot of you are probably going to blow in the wind. It's the nice way of putting it. Okay? So cop on to yourselves. Grow up before it's too late. Sorry.
Maybe they'll bring back Kylie.
Oh! Kylie Minogue. That would they did it on Neighbours. It could work.
Shalom Ezra. Hello Jack. Hello Chris.
Except from she's like
Hello Losco.
she's like particles in the sky now or something. I can't quite
Yeah,
remember.
but Heather was water, space oil or something.
They'll bring back Jenny.
Oh,
Maybe.
that'd be
That would make sense.
Oh man, David Tennant with his yes. I didn't even think of that. She didn't even come into me now, but we've been shouting for her to get her rounds. Man, I think you've hit the nail on the head. Think about it. They bring her back for the 60th, right? She's going to be popular, right? Everybody's wanted to see her back. They're probably testing the water, see if there's enough hype for her to get her own spin-off show on TV. Think about it. They'll actually do a female Time Lord, right? Jenny. Anyway, everybody's just gone silent after that.
Bring back Ramona.
I'm sorry, like I didn't mean to depress. I didn't mean to depress anybody, but I'm just telling these kids how it fucking is, man. Bottom line, someone needs to tell them, right? Blue in the face, having to defend my opinions, my friends' opinions, and all of that. Like,
they've got to learn. You can't keep stamping your feet to get your own way.
Exactly.
Like, no.
Yeah.
They need to be told no.
Exactly. Enough is a fuck enough. But anyway, back to the topic. You're right, though. Back to the topic. Cinnamon, I'll get your opinion on it. And then, yeah, go ahead. Are you still there with us? Because you're
I'm still there. I'm just procrastinating on a lot of things. I think it's quite exciting because it almost feels a bit like how Spider-Man No Way Home was. It's like, oh, is Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield going to be in it? It's kind of what it's like. Oh, which Doctor's going to be in it? Are they really going to be in it? Or is it just a rumor? I saw a few articles about Matt Smith, and he said he wasn't sure of what he said. I think he said he wasn't too sure if he could come back because he was old enough. I mean,
too old. Yeah, it's like
I mean, he looked exactly the same as he did 10 years ago. To be fair, so I'm not sure quite what he meant.
He's only said, but that again, that's deflection, Cinnamon. That would be deflection. He knows that he's not old. He's too old looking to come back.
Yeah, that's why it reminds me of the whole Spider-Man thing, because it was like they were denying it, despite screenshots and pictures of them. But it's a bit that really. I'd personally like to have Martha back. And I think 80s fanboy mentioned it in the chat there. She might be the head of unit or something. That I could understand. Because obviously we know that unit are going to be in the 60th. Somehow, whether they're going to be like a major part of it or just maybe like a side thing, but I could see that happening. It's that's the thing with it. It's got so much potential, and it really is quite open. And it's like I think like Charlotte said there, is Neil Patrick Harris or the only villain? Surely they're going to go all out. So maybe they could do it like how they did in the Pertwee era, where they have the Master teaming up with some organization or some aliens, and then he gets in way over his head. And then at the end of it, you got to have the Doctor and the Master teaming up. That's usually how it was for a lot of the 70s stories. So I could see it. That I could appreciate that as well. I could certainly like that. That's the thing with it. There's just so much potential for it really at the minute.
So you'd definitely love to see Martha Jones return. Look, I agree with you. I think Martha Jones is a great character. She gets a lot of stick, but you watch Series 3 again. She's brilliant. She saves the Doctor multiple times in that series. Is unbelievable. Like. And like, don't get me wrong, she doesn't overshadow the Doctor in any way. Like, it's done the way it should be done.
Looking at you, like, Clara.
You know?
I've always liked it because she wasn't quite as. I mean, I like all the companions that Russell had. I know I grew up with Rose and all that, but I feel like Rose was a bit more stroppy. Like, I think she's a bit more of a whiny teenager sometimes. Especially when it came to the Doctor. I remember when. Was it Mickey? Was it in series 2 at the end of school reunion when Mickey asked if he could come, and then you saw the look on Rose as she thought was like she clearly wasn't happy that the Doctor said he could come. Martha, I agree with what you said there. She saved her skin a few times. You know, she took a bit of control. She wasn't afraid to sort of do her own thing. And I think they dialed down the whole relationship a bit more. How they went from it was sort of a thing between the Doctor and the companion. And then for Martha, they only did it one-sided, didn't they?
The only thing with Martha returning is, you know, a lot of the press might pull up the nude scene she did in Sense8. Like it might be a
Oh,
bit.
dear. I've
Who
never heard of
cares
this.
what she did
Well,
in
no, but for a
Sense8?
child,
Jodie
for a
Whittaker,
children's
before she
centric
became the Doctor, done naked scenes and loads of stuff. Just watch Dark Mirror, for God's sake. She's getting, I won't say what's happening to her, but there's a bedroom scene, so you can imagine what's happening. Right? So don't be talking about,
Clean check.
like...
No, I'm just saying, you know.
Well, feck them. If they're offended by people being naked the way you're born, then go to bleeding hell or something, will you? Right? You're born bleeding naked. You're not born with clothes. All right? If God wanted us to wear fucking clothes, He would have put us in Nike fucking tracksuit and runners before we fucking get down, and I wouldn't have been poor, right? But I was born poor. I was born naked, and so were you. So just fuck off, cop on.
We all
mate.
came out the same
I
way.
know what you're saying, Lee, but you're absolutely right. Some knobhead will give out about that. Jesus Christ, right?
See,
The human form is unique because it's like it's nowhere else in the fucking galaxy as far as we're aware. So shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
Anyway, go ahead.
I don't think the press would do that because Freema has proven she's such a viable actress. She's really proven her sort of pedigree since Doctor Who.
She's a great actress.
And
she still looks the same as well, doesn't she? She hasn't.
She hasn't fucking aged a bit either, man. None of them have.
No.
It's like you walk from Doctor Who, even Peter Capaldi, look at him. It's like they don't age. It's like they go into this fake Tardis set.
Well, he's a Time Lord.
And something happens because they never grow fucking old. Peter Davison, well, I mean, he kind of still looks the same. The rest of them kind of aged badly. Look at Eccleston. Eccleston is still the same.
Oh no, he's aged. He's aged.
Well, a little bit. But the rest of them are fine. Tennant doesn't look a day older than he did when he played the fucking role. I don't know, man. Whatever's in that water, wherever they live, man, there must be something. Can we have the secret teaser? Fucking
it's called money.
Process?
No,
yeah, it probably
lack
is.
Of worry.
Maybe that's why Christopher's aged a bit more.
Probably is a lack of worry as well. No, it is true. They say
to have one bar on the heater rather than two. I don't think that crosses their mind.
Chris says he wasn't born naked. Sorry, he had blonde hair when he was born. So you had a whole head of hair. So you came out with a mullet. Oh my god, Bon Jovi right there. Oh, living on a prayer. Oh.
Yeah, but here's another thing I've just thought, because obviously Russell would have known that Tennant, after doing filming, was going to do these expos.
Yeah.
So I've got a feeling he probably has given him a brief to basically say, here's what you're allowed to say, because I know you're going to do these fan events. And you're going to, like you said, he's putting out this bit of information now that's got us all talking, got us all... Because he's basically in a teasing way. To me, the whole comment is, God, you guys think you know what's going on. You have no idea, is the vibe.
Exactly. And what happens, it'll send the fandom into a frenzy on social media anyway.
This is why I love it, because he knows exactly what he's doing. This is the difference between Russell, is that he's just perfect when it comes to teasing things. This is why he's so different to Chibnall, because Chibnall couldn't plan a children's birthday party. But
he couldn't even plan his own.
You look at how Russell does things, and you look at how he knows, because he just sort of knows exactly what he needs to put out there. Because I can understand why Chibnall. Well, I don't understand why, but I can see why he wants to keep things so quiet. But you need. I get keeping your cards close to your chest, but you've got to give something to build the hype. Because if you give absolutely nothing, then there's going to be no. If you give people not a reason to be excited, you can't really expect the demand to be there. But then you look at how Russell does it, and he's just teasing on Instagram. Yeah, I think I'd rather it be towards a general audience, because not everyone's going to be on Instagram. But just the way that he's managed to get the fandom talking again, and the way he's built up the discussion, and it's like you've got us here and now theorizing and discussing, and getting excited. Oh, could it be this person? Could he be coming back? Just how fandom used to be, getting excited and theorizing about different potential things happening. I mean, if he brings back Bernard Cribbins back for a couple of scenes, I think anyone's really viable. I think anyone could be, and it could be anyone.
Well, Bernard is coming back because we did see those scenes with him, which will make the 60th a bit more poignant now that he's unfortunately passed away.
That'll probably be the last thing he's done, wouldn't it? Really, to be fair.
Yeah, I think that was his last ever bit of filming was Doctor Who. It's kind of, I said this at the time, and it's still kind of sinking in because he has been. Look, even though I'm Irish and stuff, like Bernard Cribbins, had an impact in Ireland as well. All the top tier actors at that time, right? Whether you're from Ireland or England, they made an impact. They had an impact. I remember even the biggest shows that were shown over here were all UK shows. Everybody in Ireland was sitting home at the TV watching either BBC One or ITV fight it out for the ratings over the weekend. And you had a lot of these morning shows, kids shows, and people like Bernard Cribbins were there. Were there from day one when you were born, and then your parents probably grew up with him. I just think it's fitting that it is Doctor Who because he has been loved. He's been loved and he's done. But he's loved by Doctor Who fans. Doctor Who fans have been always very kind when it's come to Bernard Cribbins. There's never been a bad word said about that man in this fandom that I have seen. In fairness, I've never seen a bad one from either side.
Give him time.
Right? No, I don't think there ever has been. I think there was one stupid post about the fact that he was a royalist or something. Remember when everybody was trying when they were trying to cancel the monarchy? But these kids don't understand. He fought on behalf of the crown against fucking Nazis, against racists. So don't be giving me that bull again. You know what I mean? You wouldn't sacrifice your lives the way those young lads did. Right? And those women, because obviously women were a huge part of it. Their stories are being told a lot more now, and they should, in fairness, but don't forget all the other people is what I'm trying to say, which seems to be the case. You dismiss one group to elevate another, and this is what we've seen since 2016, right? This nonsense of elevating one group over another, and then what does it do? It causes a divide. But I tell you this, I would love it to be Eccleston. He pisses me off. But if Eccleston was to return to the 60th, I would be absolutely. And this, he did say he did something for Big Finish, right? But I wouldn't be surprised if there's been an attempt to try get him on this anniversary. And it will come out if he's turned it down because it came out the last time. So let's see what happens there. Chibs wouldn't even talk to Doctor Who magazine, says Jamie. No, and that was the problem. And Cinnamon is absolutely spot on. RTD. Look, RTD knows what works promotion-wise in this industry and doesn't, right? He's went on to have massive shows since Doctor Who, right? He made Doctor Who massive. He left and he went on to make even bigger shows. He knows how to promote. He knows how to tease. He's even actually told us that he'll deliberately throw out red herrings. Again, this gets fans talking all the time. And whether we like it or not, social media does have an impact, right? Yes, we'd like to see it with more general audience. And the general audience haven't got a clue that watch Doctor Who, that aren't on social media, don't know any of this is happening right now, except if they buy the Doctor Who magazine or they read the Radio Times, right? But for the rest, it bleeds then into, because it goes into the news media then, goes in, as I said, into Doctor Who magazine, Radio Times, and all these other shelf magazines and newspapers that you can pick up. So then it does go into the national newspapers, and that's how then fans of Doctor Who that's how they find out then about it. But this is clever. This is clever for me. But he will do a public campaign. He's always done a public campaign. He just can't do the public campaign now, in my opinion, is because we still have this stupid centenary hanging over this whole. As soon as that's out of the way, it's full steam ahead. This is holding up
forgetting
everything
about that.
right now.
I keep forgetting about that thing. I just
I know, but do you really care about it? Do you even care at this stage? Do I care? No. Does everybody in the chat, do you care about this centenary? I know some of you will watch either way, but do you actually really care about at this stage? Would BBC be better off just dropping it now? There's a question. Actually, that's the question, right? Everybody in the chat, yes or no? Would you like the BBC to drop this centenary right now because there's no point waiting? Let me know.
Wait,
Yes or
there's
no?
a centenary? When? What centenary? I didn't know about the centenary.
October.
Well, it's the only thing I'm concerned about really is obviously how much more cannon destruction there's going to be. That's the main thing that anyone really gives a shit about.
That's what me and Charlotte talked about in the member stream as well. I think I even said it. All hangs on this centenary. It's fucking absolutely disgraceful, though. It's disgraceful that it's come down to the fact that, and it's gotten so bad that this one story is going to determine whether Doctor Who has a future with the British
and leaving us to wait month after month after month after month, waiting in anxiety over what possible further destruction there could be, and how bad it will be, and how destructive it will be. And that's pretty shitty. Like leaving that hanging over people for so long. Really, like how is that worth celebrating anything? I mean, if anything, that's indicative of how bad the BBC has become, so what the hell are we celebrating exactly?
Well,
Tegan and Ace as well. I worry about what you're going to do with Tegan and Ace.
I don't really care. Look, at this stage, it's already being hinted that he's going to do something to them, and there's even the fans on the other side that are fanatical about that, have dug up old articles and dug up a snippet from a book or a comic or something that suggests that one of them may be bisexual at least anyway, which is open. And look, we know it's Chris Chibnall, right? He's already pandered to them with Tasman. So look, if people are expecting that the other characters that he's bringing in are going to be okay, and he's not going to explore that if it's down on paper, trust me, he's going to do it. He's just an idiot.
I can just picture them Tegan going, "Oh crikey, Doctor, bloody hell! Didn't think you were a woman now." You know what I mean? I can just imagine some sort of scene like that.
I just don't know, man. I just don't care. I actually don't.
Be a lesbian orgy in the TARDIS.
I just don't.
Yeah, that's what they say, isn't it? Tegan and Nessa are a lesbian couple.
I know.
Right, but here's the thing, and I'd put it to you this way: doesn't matter. You still have classic Who. Fuck what Chibnall does. You don't care that you don't even believe it's canon. So why? Look, if I had took this approach 5 years ago, I wouldn't have been crying and doing half of the things I've done. We've got to get it out of our heads. We don't think it's canon anyway, so who gives a fuck what he does? Let them all scissor in the TARDIS.
That's fine in one aspect, but it's going to knock on forevermore. It's a bit like the Star Wars sequel trilogy. It's all roads lead to that. And it's just that really hangs over everything. And
it does hang over it, though. I know I'm saying that.
Because it's like if you say, "Oh, we've just got classic Who." Is it really the same classic Who if he goes back and changes everything?
No, I get what you're saying, but you still have if you have the physical copies, you can fuck what they say. Unless they start changing the physical copy, then
if they dare show the Ruth Doctor,
oh man,
regenerating
you've opened a can of worms now, Noel.
Into William Hartnell, that there will be riots.
No, listen.
But he'll have some serious explaining to do, because I'd be very interested to see how he bypasses the whole 12 regeneration cycle.
If he does that, I'm just going to say this. I said in the member stream. I said it on another stream recently. I'll say it again. If he does that, forget about the timeless children that already has fucked up things. But if he does this, right, and basically picks up Hartnell and go, oh, you're not the first Doctor anymore, right, and places the fugitive Doctor there, it's game over. It doesn't matter what RTD does. Yep. It's done. It's done. Nobody, listen, this is the one thing that the other side need to understand. I don't care if it's been hinted at before that there was a possibility that there was doctors before Hartnell, right? No, none of us care about. We don't care, right? Because since the show has been written and it's moved on, they never decided to explore that. So as fans, we accepted that. You can't just all of a sudden, years later, decide that you're going to explore something that no other showrunner would dare actually explore, by the way. They would always hint towards stuff or leave it to interpretation for their audience, but they would never explicitly explain stuff like Chibs did. And the
It's the fact
reason
that
why they
no one
never
even asked
did
for
that
it as well.
was because they know fundamentally that Doctor Who fans, right? And I don't care about the general audience right here, right now, but Doctor Who fans themselves would not accept anyone other than William Hartnell as the first incarnation. That was the first incarnation that was seen on screen. So everything else is irrelevant, right? So this time, this children nonsense, right, is irrelevant. This root doctor, fugitive doctor, he could have put her in between 2 and 3. People would have their issues with that, but that's where it would make logical sense to actually put her, because that's where it caused the least amount of trouble with the fandom and with canon. But if it's true, he's going the other way with it. He's only doing it to stick 2 fingers up at us now at this stage, to be quite honest. He's like a petulant child.
Well, if they did
That's
stick her in between second and the third Doctor, that would ruin the whole regeneration thing. So then you'd have to answer that. So then that would mean that there is no regeneration cap. Because then
that's what he's already established in his rotten.
Yeah, there is no regeneration cap anymore now,
which is ludicrous because I mean, it's been a fundamental thing in so many stories, and then it just undoes all that. It just doesn't make any sense, and it also makes it that there's really no threat to the Doctor. Like, oh well, if you can constantly regenerate, you might as well do what Romana did and just waste as many regenerations as you like and not really give a shit. It's because. Oh, I don't like my hairstyle. I'll just regenerate. It's just
exactly. It's belittled that as well. It's made that kind of regeneration. It's just like made that. It's just okay. Can just regenerate anytime I fucking feel like it now. Sort of attitude. It's ridiculous, right? Look, and Moffat found a way, right? Not everybody agreed with how he found a way to get the extra regenerations for Matt's Doctor, right? But he found a way around it, right? He did find a way around it, okay? And he did it. He did it well enough. We'll have some fans will have their problems with it, and some fans do, and some fans think he did a great job, right? Doesn't matter either way. He found a way, right? Chibnall's just decided to come in with a fucking wrecking ball and just screw.
I think what they were going with is that the Doctor did have unlimited regenerations, but when they were, I think from what I grasped from the episode, I think what it was trying to say was that they did eventually cap it to 13 after they discovered the time as child.
Yeah, but not with the Doctor. Not with the Doctor.
Yeah, I was going to say my understanding was because the Doctor was the original being with the power, they have unlimited, but when they basically took the power, the Time Lords, because they took it, it could only be 13 because it wasn't their natural ability, was my understanding.
That was Rassilon's
that's how I kind of look at it, because I mean, well, from what we used to think, because that Rassilon founded Time Lord civilization, apparently not now, but that was kind of my grasp on it, is that they sort of, when they were sort of reborn, rebirthed the Doctor, I guess, because that's how I kind of separate it in terms of my own headcanon, is that the best way of looking at it is to separate the Timeless Child from the Doctor.
Well, he's doing effectively what they did with the Star Wars thing. They undermined so much the story, and putting things in a new under a new lens, that they really undermine the character. They really undermine the history. They throw out the expanded universe. Look how well that worked out for Disney by doing that. If they'd have stuck to the extended universe stuff, like if they'd have done that with Doctor Who with Thremix, who was the one who engineered regeneration in the extended universe, Doctor Who, the Doctor was originally the other, then was reloomed. DNA was loomed into the Doctor. That stuff is much more interesting, and it's much more accepted and established long term within the fandom by a great deal, many of the fandom, and even though it was never explicit, it was never in the show. It was kind of implied, especially under Cartmel. And Cartmel really rubbished the idea of the Timeless Child. He hadn't seen it, but when he was told about it in that interview, he just, within a sentence, he just dismissed it out of hand. Said that's ridiculous. It's
he actually said that they were never trying to reveal the Doctor's origins in any way, but they would point in a direction and maybe hint at something, but they weren't explicitly explaining.
Exactly.
And the person that he said that to, his face just dropped when he actually, because the host was actually trying to link the two, and he was saying, as you said, Lee, absolute nonsense. But here's the thing.
It was a certain Doctor Who YouTuber who I won't mention.
Yeah, but
it was like he was angling at trying to get Cartmel to just to give a stamp of approval, and it didn't come, and then he sort of had his answer, and then he sort of fucked off very quickly.
But the regeneration question is eventually going to pop up, because it's all well and good having the limited regeneration cycle, but you're gonna have to come to a point where you're gonna have to, at some stage, not restrict it for the Doctor, because
this is kind of what Rabbi was saying, is that we've had 50, nearly 60 years of, well, not 60, I guess 54, wasn't it? I guess it was around the time, 2013. So we had about 50 years of one regeneration cycle. I think, like Rabbi said, I think we'll be pretty good for another 50, to be fair.
Yeah, that's more the thing that I really boggled my mind. I was like, Chris, you're acting like you only had one cycle left.
Yeah, like he sort of acts like you only had one regeneration. Like, oh, quick, what can I do?
Yeah.
It's his ego. Just wanted to stamp his nonsense all over it, so it's indelible and it will forever be.
Well, here's the question: if, for example, because RTD is in a bit of a spot of bother here now, actually, now that you've mentioned it, because if Chibnall does what everybody expects him to do, double, triple down, right? So then he's removed the restriction of regeneration from the Doctor then, right? And obviously he's done all the other stuff. Does RTD then come back then in his era and address that? Because he's going to have to, at some stage, does Ncuti's Doctor, is that, what regeneration is that? Is that the first of a new set or whatever? Or is this a continuation? Because if it's a continuation, right, then you're going to have to explain. He's going to have to explain, because if it's a continuation, if Ncuti is actually a continuation from Whittaker's Doctor, and he doesn't bookend the Chibnall, you're going to have to explain this. He's going to have to address it.
Well, he might not have to. I mean, he could kick that one down the road for...
Well, he could with a simple
down the line.
In an episode where he says, this is how many regenerations or whatever, and I have a certain amount left, then that would basically dismiss what Chib's done. He could do that. But he's going to have to address that if Chibs doesn't do the fob watch and make everything...
If the show falls flat because, whatever happens at the centenary special, then, it's going to have to be addressed, because you're going to lose an awful lot of people, watching, because they're going to be, I'm out. Simple as that.
I think it will get addressed in some fashion, because we've got David Tennant back. And it looks like we haven't gone back. This isn't like an unknown adventure, because he's got it's the same outfit, but there's changes to it. We've seen this suit he's wearing with the coat, that's different. We've seen the sonic screwdriver looks different.
He's got the Jodie Tardis.
We know.
I love the way Lee just throws that one in, though. He's got the Jodie Tardis.
No, but this is my point, that we know he's not doing here's an unknown adventure route. We know that this is a current Doctor that looks like David Tennant.
Well, we don't. I mean, it could be from Universe 2, could tie into that.
Well, that was kind of what he said in the Doctor magazine.
Or it could be a reset. remember Matt Smith showed, he said that when he was regenerating to Clara, yeah, that he went to the back to default, basically. He went back to reset. But when he said that line, I found it quite weird, because if he was going back to default truly, he would have went back to William Hartnell's doctor. But obviously he what you call it, because that's what he said. He defaulted back. So
I always saw that as him basically saying, I'm not going to be the young man, sort of handsome face anymore. I'm going back to the old man again. That's what I always saw that.
I always find it asinine, if that's even the correct word, how sure that it says two things routinely and very often throughout the 60 plus years. So many times has it been mentioned that one, the Doctor has a regeneration cycle, and that the Doctor is from Gallifrey. I don't know how much that's been said, but it's a lot. I don't know how then, as a writer, you then go in and then you decide that no, those two things are apparently not the case anymore. The two
it happens when you're a shit writer.
Two fundamental things that are about the show. How it's like saying that, like, it's like how they did it with the lightsabers. They changed the law, or they're not this anymore. They're just kyber crystals, and then you have to bleed them, and all this unnecessary going to the past that we keep saying with, like, I don't know Star Trek, but apparently I've heard people said that goes in the past and then says that Spock has now got a sister or something. Well, I suppose I'll find that out when I watch it.
Apparently, contriving backstories, in well-established franchises,
it's probably the easiest to do.
New mystery. No, it's not a new mystery. It's a contrivance. We can all see it's a contrivance. If it was done intelligently and with reason, and you could explain the logic behind it, but it's not. There's nothing behind it. There's no light, no spark behind the eyes in this one. It's a completely contrived.
It's like, I like how Moffat did it when they did the Doctor was in a barn crying to himself.
Yeah,
I was fine with, because that didn't contradict anything. There was nothing.
It's not explicit. Again, it's implied, but this is very much up the Jar Jar Abrams school of mystery school, kind of, mystery box theatre, and it's a contrivance. It's no thought in it. It's badly written because it's written by someone who doesn't fundamentally understand how to write, and certainly don't know how to write science fiction. And it just seems very odd to me that this man claimed, to be a Doctor Who fan after all these years, and then goes and does something so absolutely counter to the character of the Doctor and to the story of the Doctor for all these years. It just seems to smack to me of someone who had some fan fiction in their head when they were 16, and ended up in this predicament where they were in charge of it, God knows how, and went ahead and did it unchanged from when they were like 16. It's like, it's like they got this idea in their head, it's stuck, and it wasn't going to budge, and then they somehow ended up in a position where they were running Doctor Who, and went ahead and fulfilled it as wrote. And it's just, it's incongruent with Doctor Who. It's antithetical to the character. It undoes so many decades of much better writers. All these wonderful writers, Terence Dicks, Rob Holmes, and so on and so on and so on and so on. And it just seems such an insult to all those wonderful writers and wonderful creators who spent decades creating and crafting this universe, this Who-niverse, for this fuckwit to come along and undo it all.
That's why it annoys me so much, because all the other writers have had no problem continuing.
Well, most of them are dead now. How dare you insult their legacy by overturning it all? It's
like, I know Moffat kind of did a few sort of similar things. I know he sort of bended and changed maybe a couple of things, but he never downright said, "Oh, do you know that thing that you've written? Yeah, that's all gone now." It's the cheek of it.
Disrespectful. It's the utter disrespect and disregard, not only for the fans, but for all those creative people throughout the history of the show who spent so many uncalculable hours creating and crafting this wonderful story of this madman in a box, and just to undo it all within 3 years of his tenure, you know.
Yeah, and also
5
Lee,
years, whatever.
just to do it just before the 60th.
Oh, yeah.
To do
At
it
least he's
just
leaving
before.
Yeah.
I know, but it's created now this issue we're talking about, which is Russell, even if he doesn't want to outright acknowledge it, and I don't think he will really, especially in the 60th at least. But if we want a 60th anniversary celebration, if we want a story ideally, which is to celebrate and to highlight and to make us feel
Mop up his
proud,
mistakes. Yeah.
then
It'll either be a celebration or a wake.
Well,
Oh,
that's
no.
it. Because think about this. You know, when your last episode received I'd say less than, let's be honest, less than 2 million people watching live. And that could be people channel hopping. Remember, when you switch your TV on, what channel does it normally switch on straight away? A BBC one.
10
Right?
seconds counting the view.
So, I mean, it at that point, you've got to seriously question, like, well, we've been told for year after year that this is destroying the show, and we keep being told how fucking brilliant and wonderful it is and everything. And yet, clearly, the ratings prove everything we've been saying for the last few years. Now, if you are going to double down and prepare to go through this thing regardless, that's all levels of stupid, right? That's beyond stupid, right? That's disrespecting all the writers and producers and the actors and everyone who's gone before you, and the fandom who've been crying out for years over this, being demonized, called every bloody name under the sun. And if you continue to double down on this, not only are you fucking stupid, you are a see you next Tuesday. End of story. I'm tired of it. Like, just stop and consider the longevity of the show. This show's lasted for nearly 60 years, and within 5 years, you've managed to undo all that and put it on the verge of collapse.
Yeah.
And then you want to double down on that for your
Actually,
big
Lee,
final reveal.
Lee, if rumors are true, the show was actually canned before RTD stepped in.
Yeah, I will believe that. I believe probably the fact that RTD is back is purely because of that reason. I think he got wind of it, that it was going to be cancelled. Someone may have told him. Chibnall may have told him.
And he was having none of it.
He was like, "Oh, I've got to step in."
I just wonder about. Imagine if he said no. Like, imagine where we'd be now.
I think
Just
Moffat would
it.
take it. I think Moffat would take it, and if RTD didn't, because I heard the two of them were vying for it. So if RTD didn't get it, Moffat would definitely get it.
And he would have brought Russell on as.
And he would have just brought Russell on either way. And I suspect that Moffat is actually going to write for Russell too. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Let's just hope there is a show for the two of them to save. I really do. This centenary is like a bad stink that won't go away, and it's absolutely ridiculous. Nobody wants it. Nobody wanted it. They just wanted it. It should have just ended after Flux. In fairness, if they were stepping down, just go. There was no need to drag this out for 3 more specials, but that's what they decided to do. And in fairness, I'll be surprised if the centenary does well ratings wise, but we'll see.
Yeah, they should have cleared all this out, so to create as much space as possible between this and RTD.
Yeah,
really,
it's just
that's
like this bad thing that just won't go away, and it's just annoying. If it goes the way that a lot of us are predicting, wow, 60 years is all I'll say. It has been a good run.
Well, we'll just have to
I think
see.
it'll limp if it does. Look, I think this is what will happen. The reality of the situation is that it will carry on, but it'll limp for the next couple of years, and then they'll just finally pull the plug on it. It'll die.
It really hinges on that centenary, whether or not we want to acknowledge it or not. Whatever destruction comes from that will have.
Or he could go the other way, and all our prayers are answered, and he actually does the right thing
Better.
by the show, because this is what this is about.
Oh,
And I don't want to get into another rant, but this is what this is about now, Chibs, right? If you are listening to this, this is what I would say. Put your ego behind you. Accept the fact that your version of Doctor Who just didn't gel with most of the people out there. That can happen sometimes, but you need to put your ego behind you. You need to do the right thing by this show, a show that you claim to be a fan of. So if you are, you will open up that goddamn fob watch. I don't care if you have to put letters on the fucking screen and little pictures across the screen to fix this fucking rubbish, but fix it. Fix it. Nobody wants the foundation of the Time Lords to be the fact that a woman had found an abandoned child.
Even if he does turn, right the ship and bookend this thing, I still can't forgive them for putting us through all this and all the shit. I'm
not saying I'll forgive him. I'll never forgive him. But he's got to do the right thing by Doctor Who. This is not about us. This is about Doctor Who right now. And he needs to do the right thing by that show.
Yeah.
And if you're a fan, like you claim to be, and I don't care if I've seen clips of you and you were on TV, whip-de-doo that fucking day. You're on TV before. Big whip-de-doo. I'll give you a fucking blue.
Yeah, having a go and having a right to speak down to Pip and Jane Baker in that very disrespectful way. But has he allowed any of us to do that to him? Put him on the spot?
No, he hasn't allowed. Actually, according to Chris Chibnall, it's not a democracy. Well, I don't really care. This is not about things that you said in the past or things that you've done in the past. You just need to rectify this now. Nobody wants the Gallifreyans to be brought about by the way the methods you brought them about.
No,
and certainly nobody wants the Doctor's origins explored either. You need to erase the timeless children nonsense as well. And as for the fugitive Doctor, you can keep her somewhere, but she's not gone before William Hartnell, and that's the end of that. And you need to do the right thing by this show, because if you don't, you're gonna destroy 60 years of history, and that's what you'll be known for. Nothing else. Nobody will give a shit about what you wrote before. That's what you'll be known for. The man that destroyed Doctor Who's 60-year legacy and destroyed the legacies of William Hartnell and all of the other male doctors that came after. Because I still will never recognise Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor. You got the wrong actress in to do it anyway.
JFI says, remember the centenary is 90 minutes as well.
I know. We've got an hour and a half of this rubbish to go through, but we'll watch it, because you know what? I'll give ourselves one thing. 5 years we've been on this journey, and I've watched every single fucking episode. I haven't missed one. And I will go out with this one like the way we went out with Flux. I'll do me watch along. I will do me panel. And then that's it. We bookend it. It's done. We bookend it, and then it's done. We move on. Then it's full steam ahead. RTD, but let's hope it is full steam ahead. RTD.
Yeah, I'd say if we can wait 5 years, we can certainly wait 90 minutes.
Yeah, let's hope it's not steaming poo rather than steaming.
I think I prefer that.
Forget about. I'm going to say this though, right? I'll never forgive him, right? But if he goes out on a high and he rectifies all of this, credit where credit is due, man, and I'll give him that credit. But he's got to rectify it. Look, if he's a fan, then he knows what he's put us through. He knows. Fuck the general audience. Right now, I'm just talking about fans. He knows exactly what he has put us through.
Yeah, the wilderness years too.
The fact that it's being that vindictive then after he'd seen people didn't like his Series 11, and then he started putting little comments.
It's not so much that, it's the fact that him and his team and all the elitist bunch of wankers in the BBC and the Doctor Who magazine, I'm not saying all of them, but quite a few of them, were pandering to the worst aspects of this fandom, who were just, I mean, I'm sorry, if you're standing alongside 10,000 people on Twitter who joined up a group to harass and isolate individuals and harass and abuse them, call them names and bully them offline, and do all that kind of, and then side with those people and celebrate those people who clearly are antithetical to what the Doctor would stand for. It just, I can't forgive that whole period of history within this fandom is indelibly imprinted on my mind.
Oh yeah,
and we can't forget that,
No, and BBC, Chris Chibnall, it should have, there's a lot of times that they should have responded to what was going on in the fandom.
They could have put a stop to all that, and they didn't. Yeah,
and they didn't. And you've always said that. Actually, you've been consistent about that ever since I've known you. You've always brought up that point, and it is a fair point to make. It's like nobody from the BBC would come out and acknowledge the fact that there were long-term fans being abused in this fandom because they had certain opinions. And
silence is violence, after all.
I'll just
use their own terminology. So, how about that?
Noel, I want you to watch the centenary on stream, stand up and cheer when Jodie Reed. There'll be nothing to cheer.
I can't wait until she dies.
There'll be nothing to cheer because by the time she regenerates, we'll know the damage that he's done.
I hope she falls in a blender.
And even her regenerating is not going to actually. That's a point actually I want to make. Jodie Whittaker.
It'll be like putting a lighter to a fart, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Jodie regenerating is not going to actually gonna make a difference if he doubles and triples down. It's not going to sway fans. Because she's gone, I think that will make up a lot of people's minds, and they'll be just done. Once she's gone, they will stop watching Doctor Who.
And especially, I've got a feeling he's going to copy another storyline, and she's going to. This is just my feeling. It could not happen. I've got a feeling he's going to do the whole Capaldi thing again, which is she's going to put off the regeneration for the whole episode. That's the feeling I've got.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He's going to copy that. He's going to do.
I don't want to go, Icky Thump.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit.
As I said, the way it should happen is Peter should burst out of the TARDIS. Yeah, he gets a cameo in the centenary. Bursts out of the TARDIS, sees her on the cliff, and just sees that she's refusing to regenerate, and just kicks her off it. Done. Regenerates, done. She has to regenerate because she's critically damaged. There you go. Problem solved. And then Peter will get his little cameo and get revenge. Well, you kicked me out of my TARDIS, I'm kicking you off a cliff.
Yeah.
I would say that line he says in the thick of it, but I don't think I could say it on this stream.
No.
Effity bye. Effity bye.
I said it for you.
And we're talking about Jodie's Doctor, by the way. We're not talking about Jodie Whittaker. I want to make that absolutely clear because, we'll have some people that will be listening but not commenting that will be straight away saying, oh, they've just tried to choke Jodie Whittaker.
I don't care. Fuck off. She's shit.
Anyway, but we didn't mean that. Oh, the view count has gone up all of a sudden. I repeat, we were talking about
I bet it did. Hello.
And
we're entitled to our opinion.
Robbie has put a comment up there that I really can't throw up on screen, but we'll just say okay, if that's what you want.
all I'll say
for that.
Jodie as a person, I wish her well as a human being, but don't come into a Doctor Who fandom and telling us how the show is and saying that it only celebrated white men.
Yeah,
you don't know the show. You've never watched the show. You never grew up with the show. You don't know anything about the show. So sorry. I'll say sorry, love, but that'll be considered sexist. Sorry, but don't get to tell me how the show used to be, because I was here long before you. I'll be here long after you.
That's exactly it. If you don't respect the fandom, right? Okay, a show can be relatively successful with a general audience. But to get that real success,
Remember when she said
need-
you haven't seen it yet? Well, we have now, and you're
You-
still shit.
you have to
least it didn't
respect the
break it.
fans. And if you
Mhm.
don't respect the
Yeah.
fans and you don't respect the IP that the fans love, well, then you're always going to get the reaction that you got over the last 5 years. Because fans don't look at. I have to say to the fans that have stuck through this throughout the 5 years and stood their ground, you ought to be applauded, because I know it hasn't been easy in this fandom, and it hasn't. Being a Doctor Who fan has not been easy over these last 5 years. We'll see what happens. Look, I know all hell is going to break loose the centenary. Some people are saying I'm only saying that because I want drama. No,
Good bloody riddance.
no, it's not because I want drama. That's exactly what's going to happen. It's the same cycle with every single episode, but this one is going to even be more heightened because the last one, it's an hour and a half. She goes, the whole Tasman thing, the whole, as I said, is the timeless child nonsense going to stick? Where does the fugitive Doctor fit in? All of this, all hell is going to break loose in the fandom, and it's not because I want drama.
One way or the other.
It's exactly,
one way or the other.
exactly. It's going to be one way or the other. So don't listen. I'm at this a long time now. I can predict these things. A lot of people that are doing this as well can also predict these things because we've seen it come. And it's the same old shit cycle every time, and it gets worse and worse. And when that centenary is over and those credits roll in, I can guarantee you when we're streaming, right, we're doing our live panel, right, it's going to be watched by over 90 people. It's always around 90, 100 people. It's going to be watched by everybody because they're just waiting for one of us to turn around and say something. And then all hell is going
I don't give a flying fuck. She's gone.
And you know what? This time, unlikely, I don't. You know what? He's pushed me for the last 5 years that I've gotten to a point where I actually don't care anymore. You have said all the most hurtful things to me. You said the most awful things about me, my friends, and stuff. I've been sent some disgusting things. You know, you have gotten me to a stage where I'm immune to all of this shit now. So, you know, if you just want to trifle with us, that's fine. You will see what will happen at that time. It won't be pretty though. But I tell you, all hell is going to break loose. So you want to buckle in because this is it. This is the one now. This is the 5 years as well. Remember, this is also 5 years of the other side hammering our side, right? And our side have been waiting for 5 years to stick it to the other side. Now, while some of us here we're more mature now, we handle things differently. We won't provoke anybody out there, but a lot of our side will, whether we like it or not, it will happen, and that's where it's all going to kick off. Because this is 5 years of both sides having their beliefs, and this is the last episode of this era. Of course, there's going to be fucking mayhem.
Yeah, there's mayhem when it's not been like a toxic, drama-filled, horrible era. Like it's mayhem usually when a Doctor goes, and you add all the politics, all the fighting, and like we said, the BBC, even though they've not really done any promotion so far, they're gonna have to do a bit of, I don't know if celebration's the right word, but they're gonna have to look like they're saying goodbye to this era. So there'll be a lot of I think BBC all of a sudden doing lots of positive posts and lots of Jodie was brilliant and Jodie did this and Jodie did that. So
that's the thing. There's already unrest on that side. There's already unrest on that side. That's why I did it. That there's hardly I think the straw that broke the camel's back for that one for them fans was when SFX magazine came out and said that BBC had missed the deadline to put something in their magazine for the centenary. And then the fans on the other side that have supported that are all coming out and questioning what the hell is going on. So it's already happened. The unrest is already happening. But what's happening from our side is that some will be having, this is a moment for them to have a little dig at these. Well, we told you, didn't we? And then that starts off, and then before you know it, snowballs. And then when that episode drops that night, and then it ends, and everything is laid bare, and we know exactly the state the show is going to be left in after he's finished, right? Then there's the whole Tasman, the politics, as Charlotte has mentioned. This is going to kick off something huge. I'm glad we're going to be streaming and doing their panel, and we won't have to bleed and worry about it. But social media is going to be absolutely. Listen, my advice is if anybody
There will be
comes out,
tears.
just
There will be
ignore.
tears.
Yeah, there'll be plenty of them. Let them. Let them. I said
Yeah,
to them,
I that'd be my advice, folks. If you're on social media, just don't get involved that night.
that's
in
it.
anything.
Just back away, say nothing. Anybody tries to engage us as well. The best. That's what the block button is there for. They might take it as a victory. Let them. Fuck them. If that's how shallow they are and how little they think. If they think that's a victory, well then that's how little they think of
A
themselves.
lie, however often repeated, is still a lie.
Anyway, better not disrespect. And Jodie, ha ha ha. I look at. I've never disrespected Jodie Whittaker.
She's disrespected us.
I've criticised her for her disrespect towards fans and interviews that she's done. I wish Jodie all the best. She recently had a baby. I wished her the best to look on Twitter, and people were kind of like annoyed at me because I did wish her the best. Why wouldn't I wish her the best?
She made it more about her than she made it about the show.
In fairness, I have no problem with her. I just think she's a shit actress. That's just my opinion. Right? I didn't think she was right for Doctor Who. Right? She's no screen presence. That's why they brought in so many companions. You don't need to be Sherlock Holmes to figure this shit out. Like, if the media were reporting truthfully for the last 5 years, none of this in the fandom. And remember, not just Chibnall and Jodie Whittaker. The media are responsible as well. And I'll never forget those either in the media. Right? The media put a target on airbacks from day one when they said that anybody that came out against a female doctor was basically a misogynistic pig and a sexist. And all the other bleeding labels then that we got after that.
Yeah, we had never had a problem with any of the female companions. I didn't have a problem with Missy. I know some people did, but I didn't. It's clearly bullshit. And I mean, we've seen this happen so often in so many other fandoms, and it's just become such a toxic environment created by the media and by social media and by these rampant postmodernist neo-Marxist cunts. Who,
you can't say that word.
Well, I have said it.
You can't because you got me. No, you can't. You got me.
Well, okay, so I'll take it back.
For
See you next Tuesday.
Word.
I spelled it Qunt, so it's polite.
Calm down, Russell T. Davis. Calm down.
Well, he can say it and get away with it.
Yeah, but you can't on YouTube. My last stream was limited to it violated because they don't like that word. Okay, right, well, you can say fuck, you can say whatever, but you can't use that word. Okay,
funts. Yes,
right, it's probably too late anyway. Get your point across.
Well, I've forgotten what it was now, but yeah, it was just But these people, right? They've made our lives a living hell for all this time, and it's happened across every bloody fandom, and it's just become so toxic. Everything that they've accused us of is everything that they do themselves. When they call people a bigot, they're the bigots. When they call people fascists, they're the fascists. When they call people racist, it's funny how they never call out the racism and sexism of badly written black and female actors' roles. They never call that out. They never call out the tokenism, the disgusting tokenism that goes on. And it's just do as I say, not as I do. And I really find that beyond offensive, and see you next Tuesday. Words are not even nearly enough to describe them, frankly.
Yeah, but we have to be very
I apologize, but
no, you're grand. But if the stream is limited, you're gonna have to
blame me.
It. Yeah, it's Lee's fault.
Well, I'm paying you £2 a month to make up.
Yeah, you are. So in fairness, I'll let you away with that one. But from now on, there's none of them words allowed, right?
Use the emoji. Use that emoji.
JFO though, because this is a funny one. I can't wait to see Tennant in Jodie's costume. Not happening. She's in the orange spacesuit, and that's what David Tennant, if he does, Jodie is rumored to regenerate into Tennant. If that rumor does stick, well, then that would make more sense. There's no way that David Tennant's going to regenerate into Jodie Whittaker's costume. That'll be the biggest laugh. And
Remember
that's
how-
not happening.
You remember when you said that there's no way you'd see a man regenerate into Jodie's costume?
Mm-hmm.
But of all the men to do it, I think Ncuti probably would, in fairness.
Yeah, that's true.
Ncuti probably would. But I don't think it'd suit David Tennant regenerating into the costume.
Well, he's too tall for a start, whereas Ncuti is about the right height.
Yeah, but that doesn't make a difference. I mean, Peter Capaldi was taller than Whittaker, but yet they tailored the costume to make it look like
but
it's
almost as silly as William Hartnell regenerating to Patrick Troughton with his costume change.
Yeah, but I think it's more just I can't see Tennant with a bright.
There's no way he's wearing that costume.
Like they're not quite long enough short. I mean trousers, wherever they are. Like it just wouldn't suit him to look.
He's not wearing that costume. If he regenerates into that costume, sure he'll burst it open like the Hulk. She's tiny for God's sake, and I know he's skinny. I know he's skinny, but like, come on, he's not that bleeding skinny.
Yeah, can you imagine? Like, I mean, she's wearing female trousers, right, which aren't tailored for you know what. So that's going to be like, whoa, straight up his.
I just don't see it. I just personally don't see.
I think that costume would have been far better if because I can see what they were based a costume off. It was quite a popular thing for women in the 1930s apparently to wear trousers like that, and I saw the concept of it, and I thought the concept looked better than what it was. I think it should have been like maybe a brown or a darker colours. I think what they went with overall the end didn't quite. Actually, I thought I liked what they were going for better than the final product. I'll say that.
And she got the whole outfit from a charity shop, and it's just like, yeah. I mean, most charity shops sell a lot of weird shit, but I've never seen anything that fucking awful.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm saying she's going to regenerate into she's going to regenerate when she's in the orange spacesuit. That's what I'm saying. There's no way David Tennant's regenerate. If that is the rumor and it happens to be true, right? There's no way if she regenerates into him, he's regenerating into that costume. There's no way she'll be in. If she's not in the orange spacesuit, she's definitely in a different. She'll be in something different, right? That'll probably look genderless or something, so it won't look that weird. But definitely not happening. There's no way in hell he's regenerating into that, because it would. Listen, it would, number one, it'd look absolutely stupid. And number two, I mean, I don't know. Fans have probably photoshopped his head onto the fucking costume. It looked ridiculous, man. It looked ridiculous, right? And people, you wouldn't want, the 60th to start off with that, right? And then that's the first thing that people see is that. And that.
Well, Jack said he'd be like, what?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, come on.
No.
You know he's like we said. If the rumor pans out, that's going to be part of the first lines.
Yeah,
it's like part of Tennant's Doctor now, iconic sort of lines.
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, he'll be looking at his hands or something, realise it's him, see himself in reflection or something, and that's and that's where it'll probably end. Probably end on that little cliffhanger, and then we get a little teaser of what's to come in the.
Yeah, he'll be doing his own scrunch face because he did that a lot as well.
Yeah, but his scrunch face at least didn't look fake.
No.
Everything that Jodie Whittaker's Doctor Jodie did as an actress for the Doctor was fake, right? She wasn't believable, right? At least with the other lads, they were believable that they were aliens, right? She wasn't believable. She just like every single. Do you know what she was? She was just a Karen Doctor. Because she was just like pissed off at everybody and especially blokes.
Nothing about her characterization was
criticized.
Nothing.
Nothing. Didn't resemble the Doctor in any shape or form, right? So that's why I have no problem with just basically, letting Peter's Doctor just kick her off a cliff. Dr. 13. It made my day. And he deserved it,
Unlucky for some, yeah, all of us.
Yeah, look, 13 after Peter Capaldi was always going to be a difficult one. Even if Peter hadn't left when he did and he had to stay on a little bit longer. I think anybody to replace Peter Capaldi was going to have an uphill struggle. This is why I believe Ncuti has a better chance, is because Jodie Whittaker has actually, lowered the standards, and Chris Chibnall have lowered the standards for that role, that Ncuti is going to look Oscar worthy in the role.
You could put a jar of pickles in that costume and still be better than Jodie Whittaker.
Listen, the thing is that BBC, all these accounts that supported BBC and the accounts that BBC support by bringing them on doing interviews, Digital Spy recently doing a top 10 Who Do, you can see, right? You know where the agenda is. But all of these people, they're all responsible for the failure of this era and the behavior that went on in the fandom.
JFO asks, honest question, what was Jodie's doctor? What has Jodie's doctor done that was clever? Leave.
Oh no, she did do something clever actually. I can't believe I'm actually going to say this, but she did do something clever. While I don't agree with the way she went about it, because she basically just killed a sentient being in the TARDIS, but when she tricked the Daleks into the TARDIS, I thought that was very clever. And
it's only because the Daleks were being incredibly stupid. Because
come on, credit. Look, I know you don't like, but that's credit where no credit's due. Well, I'm sorry, I'm giving it credit. That's the one time you've asked for an example.
Only because the Daleks were bloody stupid.
Right. Well, Lee believes the Daleks were stupid, but I believe that was actually clever. How could they not bloody
see her? And no.
Right, listen, you can agree all you want, right? That's my opinion. You can disagree, it's my opinion, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Which is wrong.
Right, it's not wrong. You're wrong. You're all wrong in the chat.
Totally wrong.
I'm telling you, you are wrong.
Wrong.
Right? That was the one time, and the other time that she actually convinced me that she could play the Doctor. And there was one scene, it was when she was looking out at the TARDIS. She seen Gallifrey was destroyed. It was the only time that I actually believed that if Chibnall had have actually played on that a lot more, played on her emotional side.
Oh, that's all those years she's played, distraught mothers. That's where it came into.
Listen, she was clever enough to outsmart the Daleks, right? And they fell for it. Whether they fell for it or not, she still outsmarted them. So my point stands. Lee is wrong.
You had to dumb down the Daleks in order to do it.
And you can all say I'm wrong, but you're all wrong. And as I'm the host of the channel, I'm always right. This is not a democracy.
Bigot.
Okay? And that's the end of it. But see, that's the way Chris Chibnall was acting. Of course, it is a democracy, and Lee does have his opinion, and I respect it. I do believe he is wrong.
It's fact.
But yeah, see, there he goes again. He just can't leave it. Do you know what? Even when he gets a compliment, he just can't leave it. So do you know what? You're wrong. You're barred off the channel. See you later. Bye.
See you next Tuesday.
What if we're all wrong? And this is a meta-crisis Doctor. Well, I did mention the meta-crisis Doctor when he first was announced, didn't I? And I have spoke about the meta-crisis Doctor. Look, it'd probably be the easiest solution, but
I'm just not so sure how he could regenerate into Tennant, because that body is dead, isn't it? That every cell in that body was died. So how can you regenerate into a body that you previously died in before?
Well, that's if the rumor that Jodie's going to regenerate into David actually transpires. Obviously, if it doesn't,
that's just the main issue that I have with that particular way. I'm curious.
Well, the body will have some kind of RNA memory structure in there, so it can recreate.
Moffat basically gave Russell an out if Russell does write it, which is you might go back to a few old favourites. So, and Tennant was.
I know they kind of did that with the whole Tom Baker with the curator, but that was still never quite explained fully, wasn't it? That could be a ghost or something, perhaps.
Well, from my understanding, it's like Lee said, it's almost like the Doctor has got locked memories, or maybe just a memory of all the bodies they've been in, and because especially in the New Who. They have hinted that the Doctor has a bit of control over the regeneration
subconsciously.
So
I've always
heard
that.
Control could be him purposely picking Tennant again.
If it's some subconscious, I hate to think about what was going through Capaldi's mind when he was thinking about regenerating Jodie. Imagine that his last thought was like, "Oh God, oh hell."
Maybe that's why I put it off for so long. It's like I'm going to turn into that.
Oh no, that's my headcanon now. That's headcanon. That's canon now.
Yeah. God, that's
Well,
hilarious.
my little headcanon has always been he was maybe thinking of Missy at the time, so that's why we got a female doctor.
Possibly. Yeah. Still don't agree with it.
Someone
but
put in the chat there that was quite interesting. Shelley mentioned that according to Moffat, Time Lords have an opposite sex regeneration for each cycle. That means that we aren't going to see Jodie's Doctor never again. So I'm not quite sure.
Right, that would be a nice way of explaining it, but that's not up to Moffat to explain it. And then Ruth doesn't fit in either. Where does she fit in? Are they separating? Are they separating both shows? Because they wouldn't be then, because they're incorporating a new Doctor that they've created into the classic era.
I still say she's from Universe 2. She's not from this universe. I think the Timeless Child should be from Universe 2. Yeah, she's escaped into this universe and running around. That's why the Doctor doesn't recognize.
Yeah, and then we've had to suffer 5 years of Universe 2 because Chibnall decided that that's what he was going to do.
Well, you can shove that off into its own thing, and if they want to have that, power to them, let them have it. But
let them do it that way. I don't mind if that's what. But if that was the plan all along, why didn't you fucking just Chips? Yeah, but I'm just saying, if it was. Chips could have saved an awful lot of hassle by actually saying to everybody, this is going to be Universe 2. So nobody then would get upset and annoyed about it. You know what I mean?
Clearly he enjoyed the fact that we were annoyed about it.
Well, of course he did. Of course he did. Well, look, we've been gone for 2 hours and we weren't even supposed to go for 2 hours. But you know what, as usual, we do have great guests on, and some of them don't fucking shut up. But we've had some great guests on. I'm only messing. Listen, we do have a good time when we're on these, and we always do go from topic to topic. But there has been a lot happening. I'm pretty sure. It always comes in a cycle, and then it dies down a little bit, and then we get something else. But the fact that David Tennant is out and about doing media at the moment. There could be more from more interviews that he does. Very clever as well. David Tennant will be. He'll give certain information or certain things away at one interview, but then he'll completely talk about something different and give something different away at another interview, just like the way RTD does it. You should see how they do it. It's actually very clever. You look at the interviews with Tennant back in the day and RTD. They were both very clever, saying different stuff, giving different pieces of snippet information each time, new information in different episodes, and then fans could try piece them together and try come up with a theory. But thing about it is, you get something, but there still wouldn't be enough there to put things together. But you could speculate down either way, and that's what their masters are doing. So you're going to see a lot more of this. This is gonna ramp up. Because I actually think BBC know that the centenary is dead in the water. They just have to put it out now at this stage. I mean,
Lee Halford says there is no university tribunal, too lazy to explain that. Yeah, look, I totally agree. But he did bring that in, and it would be a way out. Just have to take whatever you can.
Well, isn't that where he's going with the Doctor? Isn't he saying that the Doctor or Timeless Child was from a different universe?
Shove them back in it. And JFO says Peter Capaldi's
in that wormhole or whatever that was. Yeah, chuck them back in. And
Peter Capaldi's Doctor did die, and it was Bill's tear that revived him. Maybe that altered and affected his regeneration. That's my headcanon. Anyway, I thought that as well.
So. Anyway, what we'll do is we'll finish up. So I'll let you all, everybody on the panel, go around the table and shout out use our social medias, and of course if you feature on other channels, you know what to do. So we'll start with the one and only Queen. So Queen Charlotte, let everybody know where they can find you.
You'll find me on Type 40, both the live shows and the podcasts. I've recorded a few down, so they should be coming out soon. And then I'm a regular on Daniel's channel, so Scottish Davros and Friends wrestle with pop culture. We will be doing Line of Duty still and whatever else we think about, and you'll catch me on here whenever Noah wants me.
It's not that I don't want any of you. It's just the weather's been all over the fucking shop, and I just
yeah.
yeah. But we'll
Okay.
get the little Who streams done. We got Time Heist next week anyway, so we'll be back for that on Wednesday. So Marky's our diaries. Time Heist Wednesday. So Charlotte will be back Wednesday.
PD will be very happy.
And also, there's our member stream with Charlotte too on the members tab. So if you haven't become a member, please do. And we got the Legend of the Traveling Tard. We had a Christian from the Legend of the Traveling
Yeah, very, very nice chat that was as well. Actually.
Yeah.
Good one, that
so
one.
if you haven't caught up with them, if you're a member, go and catch up with them. If you're not a member, there is a join button there. There are 2 price plans there. There's a more affordable one than the other one. So you can check it out there and catch all those interviews. And we'll have more guests coming on as well pretty soon. So we're just lining them up at the moment. But we'll have more new guests coming on. So check them out. But without further ado, we'll go to the main man himself.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah, yes.
Go on.
Problem
I
being,
thought it was a joke. I thought it was going to say me. So yeah, you can find me on my channel on Derby Rider or 2. I'm thinking about rebranding because I'm not sure if people are getting a bit confused with the different names. I don't know. I'll get back on that. But it's a bit dead at the minute. But if you can find me there. I think Chris has just posted in the link there, so thank you. And you can also follow me on Twitter. Don't know why I'm still there. At Real B Beckett 2. I talk about football and Doctor Who or a range of different topics.
Fantastic. And Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
What?
I said problem being, right? And Cinnamon went. So now
No,
I'm saying,
I deferred.
I know you did, but I'm
and...
calling you Cinnamon Toast Crunch now because it looks like you have swapped identities now. So, like, if that's the way you want to play it, that's fine.
That's how we have now, and I'm problem being.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
I'm trans Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
So go ahead, Cinnamon. Give you a
trans Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Go ahead.
It's yes, Aldred Audio Visual. That's my YouTube channel stuff. I haven't uploaded much lately, but it's just been too hot, and I got loads of things I need to do yet, and clawing my way back to that. Also, you can contact me or follow me on Instagram at Aldred Audio Visual.
Fantastic, and you know where you can find me. And our sub count has jumped a little bit. I don't know what's happened there.
Because of me, that is.
But thank you to whoever has recently subscribed to the channel. You're more than welcome. Hope you're enjoying the content and the guests. But we'll be back next week because we don't we're kind of relentless on this channel. So, I'm pretty sure.
That's one word for it.
Well, something's gonna happen, right? Because Tennant has made comments, so there'll be something else that'll come out. Trust me. All of a sudden you'll probably find something. So there'll be something to talk about. We'll be back then, obviously, for the watch-alongs that we have planned.
Speak up.
So tomorrow we have Die Hard, which I would have preferred Beetlejuice myself, but there you go. I did pick 4 movies that were good, but Die Hard won out.
Says, how about Cinnamon
movies on Die Hard tomorrow? So if anybody's complaining it's a Christmas movie, I don't give a shit. It's what people voted for, and if you have a problem with that, with the vote, go and have it out with them. Yeah, okay. But it'll be the last one until the end of the month, and then we're back for a double movie feature Sonic the Hedgehog's Part 1 and 2. So look out for that. We were supposed to do that last month, but we're definitely doing it at the end of this month. Wednesday, as I said, we've got our new Who. In between that, obviously, as I said, there'll be Doctor Who articles dropping because, you know, some people are still dumb enough to put out dumb shit out there. And then it's always good for us to have a laugh at all of these so-called journalists, but, you know, they're propagandists and activists. They're not really journalists, but one of them will open their stupid mouths because they can't help it. So we'll be back with Doctor Who stuff as well, and all the other stuff that I've been doing. So I'm going to leave it there because it is, as Charlotte has indicated, still very warm.
I've drunk nearly half my drink.
Yeah, so I'm going to grab a cold drink myself. So we'll leave it there. So I'll get the panel to say goodnight to you all. So panel, say goodnight to the guys there in the chat.
Good night to the guys there in the chat.
Fantastic. See, if I word it a certain way, he has to answer. Yeah, great. Anyway, enjoy your week. I hope you've had a great weekend. Here's to next week, and I hope you will be with me. And yeah, we'll talk soon. Have a good one, folks.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Cheerio. Pip, pip.